Generally speaking, I'm very comfortable working with folks across the aisle. Again, I think with everybody having the right intentions in mind, as long as we're doing what's best for New York State towns, I'm going to work with whoever I need to.
Hi there, it's WAMC News Director Ian Pickus. And on this episode of the WAMC News Podcast, we speak with the outgoing town supervisor of Glenville, New York. Glenville Town Supervisor Chris Koetzle says he will step down in May after nearly 15 years to become Executive Director of the New York State Association of Towns. The Republican announced the move in a social media post Monday, saying it was not an easy decision. He says he's ready to seek new challenges and is committed to a smooth transition. Koetzle served 2 years on the town board before becoming supervisor, which is now a full-time role, and is a longtime leader in Schenectady County GOP politics. He was last re-elected in 2021. Koetzle says it's time for a change.
Well, it was a difficult decision leaving the job that I found so much, love and joy from over the years. Certainly a bittersweet decision, but I was presented an opportunity that was just really too good to turn down, and I was offered the executive director position at the Association of Towns, and that's just, I think, perfect alignment with my experiences, my talent, and it's the right decision, even though it's a difficult decision.
Does this mean you'll be leaving, elected politics behind?
Yes. Elected politics is something I think that will be in my rearview mirror.
So in the job leading the Association of Towns, you'll be advocating for places like Glenville. What do you think your, about 15 years of experience as town supervisor will bring to that role?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for myself and to bring my experience onto a larger platform. Right now I work on behalf of one town. I'll be able to work on behalf of 933 towns going forward. And I think, just being intimately involved with the issues, especially as we interact, local government interacts with the state, having that experience, having that firsthand knowledge, feeling it, living it every day, I think is going to help me advocate even more effectively for towns across the entire state. I think local government is the most important level of government. It's closest to the people. It affects people their daily lives. And the role we are able to play on the local government level is just critical to people. And, home rule is a perfect example of what we need to make sure we continue to protect going forward. So
looking back at the time you've been Glenville Town Supervisor, what do you see as your main accomplishments?
That's so hard. Over 15 years, I sat down over this past weekend and just made a list, and it's like 2 pages typed out. And there's just so much that we've accomplished. And so I think, when you look back, I think what I'm mostly proud of is I was able to work with so many different people that came together to make things happen. Nothing happened because of me alone. It happened because we put good people together. We articulated a vision. We made sure that we all worked together towards the same goal. And because of that, we're able to do things like create Oktoberfest, which is a huge, community festival here in the town. We're able to revitalize our commercial corridors. We're able to build our parks up. There's so many things to look around and just be proud of. But it's really the people that I was able to work with and the people that really made things happen over the past 15 years that I'm proud of.
So the job has also changed. It was not a full-time position. Now it is. How will the replacement process work when you step down at the end of April?
So the deputy supervisor acts as a supervisor until the town board appoints a supervisor. If the town board does, which will be a 2-2 Dem to Republican board, if they do find somebody and they appoint, that person will have to run in November of 24 for a special, and then November of 25 for the full term. And so that person has kind of a daunting, challenge ahead of them to run 2 elections in 2 years. But I anticipate, I think, Sid Ramatar is my deputy. I think he's prepared to step in. And why I wanted to announce so early was to really give time for a transition plan in place and try to work with somebody as close as possible and make sure that the town's in the best position as possible.
What remains on your to-do list between now and May 1?
We have a lot to do. It's as every year has been, we have a very aggressive agenda ahead of us. We've got all the pedestrian paths that we're building on Freeman's Bridge Road. We have a Taco Bell coming in. We have a Legacy Park, which is in the process of getting built now, and I'm hoping to complete that before Memorial Day, which would coincide with me just about leaving. And that would be great if I can get that done before I leave. And you have basically the town hall. New town hall is completely unstarted at this point, and so we'll see where that goes with the new board. But those are kind of the things that we're looking at in early 2024.
Did anybody try to talk you out of leaving the post?
There was a lot of disappointment, I must say, and it saddened me greatly. I know some of the employees kind of took it hard. Many people were surprised and upset, but I think everybody accepts the fact that this is such a great opportunity for me and my family, and that the time is right. But I don't think there's any talking me out at this point.
I want to ask you a bit about Republican politics. What's been your secret to being reelected so many times in an area where, Democrats are also pretty well entrenched? You're a Republican, you're running town-wide. How has that worked in your favor?
Well, I think, when people see that what you have in your heart is the best interest of the town and not politics. I've never approached this job as being political, and I've always said that to our board members. I look at it more of a business. We run a $20 million business delivering services to 30,000 people and working on behalf of 100 employees. This is our job. This is what we need to do, and politics doesn't play a role in that. And I think people have appreciated that over the years. I've always been accessible to all. I've worked on behalf of all and always put the best interest of the town first. And I think that became apparent to people, and obviously got a ton of crossover votes. I can't win, at those margins that we've had over the years without crossover votes. And I think just being genuine about, putting Glenville first has helped with the relationship between me and the other party.
Not in Glenville, but in other local races that we just covered earlier this month, there were many candidates who ran with Republican backing, but were very clear to point out that they're actually registered Democrats. People in places like Kingston and Saratoga Springs made that distinction. And it made me think, if upstate Republicans fear kind of the tarnishing of the brand by what's gone on lately with, former President Trump's travails and the chaos in the Congress with the House majority. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not familiar with races outside of the county, to be honest with you. But, I do think that the party in general is in transition. I think it's searching for its identity. I think that happens to large organizations like the Democrat and Republican parties over, ebbs and flows through the years. And I think they're just waiting for a leader on the state level and on the federal level that can come in and really provide that identity as to what the party is all about. I think the party as a whole has to start talking about those things that unite Republicans and not so much the things that divide Republicans. And I think there we'll find more success.
What kind of relationship, if any, do you have with people like, Governor Hochul, Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie, Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins? Because in your new role, you'll be dealing with them, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't actually met or spoken with any of those folks that you mentioned, but I do have a history of working across the aisle from the local level up to the state level. Senator Breslin is my senator here in the town, and we worked very well with his office. He's worked hard on our behalf, and I work well with Congressman Tonko, work well with the county Democrats here, despite what some people tried to portray. But generally speaking, I'm very comfortable working with folks across the aisle. again, I think with everybody having the right intentions in mind, as long as we're doing what's best for New York State towns, I'm going to work with whoever I need to.
We hear a lot about quote unquote unfunded mandates from New York State government on localities. What do you see as sort of the greatest challenges that do face towns as you prepare for the new position?
Well, the first is what I've always seen as an erosion of home rule, home rule being that communities ought to be able to determine what's best for themselves. We have that as a constitutional right in the state of New York. But there has been, I call attacks, erosion of home rule over the years by a variety of governors, started with Cuomo, really. And I think that's a number one issue, is making sure we preserve home rule, respect home rule. Number two is support for the towns from the state in form of, aids to municipalities, CHIPS money, which we use to invest in roads and making sure that our roads are up to standards. And I think we need more help from the state in infrastructure investments like sewers and water lines across the state. Many towns are struggling with how do we build a community when we don't have that infrastructure in place, and it's so expensive today, the local property owner can't handle that themselves. So, I think really those are the key issues that we're looking at right now in the state, and making sure that we're protecting home rule and that we're getting the resources we need in the communities to continue to grow and flourish in upstate New York.
You're not originally from Glenville, so what is one thing that you discovered about the town when you started living here and representing it that you'll take with you when you move on from the supervisor's post?
It's always about people, right? I mean, it's just amazing the amount of people who I have met, who have touched me, and who have, supported me and who have accepted me. And we have just wonderful people. And I think going through the pandemic, as difficult as that was, and really nobody's ever prepared for that. But working with so many of our residents through that, I'll never forget that. And, obviously in elected office, you have to deal with the people that are, there's a lot of small-minded people out there, and they tend to flock to Facebook for some reason. But there's also a lot of really great people. And I'll always take that with me, that, Glenville, the folks in Glenville accepted me as an outsider, and they gave me an opportunity. And I think it was a great relationship.
That's Glenville Town Supervisor Chris Koetzle for now. He'll be leaving the post this spring to take over the New York State Association of Towns as Executive Director. Chris, congratulations, and thanks as always for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Okay, that does it for this episode of the WAMC News Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, I'm Ian Pickus.